Hello, 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 and welcome to episode number 21 of the Magic is in You podcast, the podcast designed to empower you to tune and tap in and turn on the magic with inside of you so that you can fully own your badass magic and actually create the authentic life that you truly desire by getting out of your own damn way, using subconscious reprogramming, mindset, and embodiment so that you can move forward and create a life that lights you the fuck up. My name is Kelsey Holmes, and I am so thrilled you are here today. I am so excited to share with you an incredible podcast interview with Megs Thompson, who is, oh my gosh, she is such a fucking badass. She is an incredible word tweaker, book doula, ghostwriter. Oh my gosh, she creates magic. And our conversation today, we go deep into how she has led her business from the birth of her business to what it does today, like really leaning into her intuition so that she can create actually what she desires, and how she got out of her own way, got out of her own head, and like made it fucking happen and brings not just her dreams to life, but everybody she works with dreams to life by publishing over 200 books in her new publishing company. Oh my gosh. I am so excited to share Megs with you today because she is a complete badass. I actually met Megs years ago now in a coaching program that her and I were in together. And we had been internet friends for a long time. And I actually got to even meet her briefly in person here at my home base in Montana at Inspiration Cabin, our cute little Airbnb slash showroom that we have, that I also host workshops and retreats out of as well. She actually swung by here as she was passing through. She is also a Montana girl. And I am just like so beyond excited to share this interview with Megs. You are going to feel inspired. You're going to feel fucking capable. You're going to feel like a badass who's ready to dive into your story so that you can bring your story to life and actually utilize your story for the power that it has. It's such an incredible interview. I'm so excited to share it with you. Before we dive in, though, I wanted to let you know there is an incredible opportunity for us to work one-to-one together. So if you didn't know, I have an incredible transformational VIP one-on-one coaching program called Elevate You. This is a 3-month transformational experience where you and I meet once a week on a Zoom call and get into the nitty-gritty, allowing you to tap into your mind, body, and energy, subconscious mind, conscious mind, into your body and your energy so that you can release the shit that's no longer serving you, the limiting beliefs, the stuck, stagnant energy in your body, and feel good in your body so that you can embody the badass that you know you are, so that you can actually create what you truly desire in this life. This work is not just for your business. It's not just for your relationships. It's not just for you. This work is for all of you, because when you grow yourself from the inside out, everything else in your life grows around you. And the reason this is such an incredible, exciting time right now is because it's a big transition. Oh my goodness gracious. Elevate You is actually about to elevate. I am elevating the investment for Elevate You at the end of the month, and I have a couple more spots for the current investment of $2,200 before it raises to the new investment of $3,000. So if you want to jump in on Elevate You one-to-one transformational coaching experience with me so that you can dive in mind, body, and energy, elevating yourself from the inside out, spending 3 full months integrated into your personal growth, weekly coaching calls, including Telegram messaging in between the calls, so that if you have any questions at all or anything comes up throughout the week, that we can work on Telegram through what you're growing through. So if you want more information, check out the link in the show notes to apply for Elevate You one-on-one transformational coaching experience. And we can start as soon as next week. So get on it, get into your growth, and let me introduce Megs to you. I'm so excited. Megs is a professional intuitive writing coach, word tweaking book doula, ghostwriter, editor, and publisher based in the wilds of Montana. She spends her days supporting, coaching, empowering, and encouraging creative individuals as they move confidently through the often messy and uncomfortable minefield of their personal healing process to uncover the magic and strength hidden in their unique life stories. Megs coaches you to see your personal stories for the magic they contain by helping you get out of your own way, holding you accountable, and cheering you on like the overinvested dance mom. For more information about how to work with Megs, visit her website at megswrites.com. And all of the links to connect with Megs are in the show notes. And without further ado, let's welcome Megs to the podcast. Hello, hello, and welcome, Megs, to the Magic is in You podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Like I mentioned in the intro, Megs and I have known each other for a little while in the online world. We even got to meet briefly face to face, which is so fun because she's actually another Montana girl. And I am beyond excited that you are here today, Megs. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Kelsey, thank you so much for having me. It's so funny. We met online, like on the online world before I moved to Montana. I was still in Western Washington. And then I remember as soon as my husband and I decided to move here, my first thought, I was like, I don't know anyone there. And I was like, I know Kelsey. I don't even know where in the state she is or where in the state I'm going to be, but I know Kelsey. Like I have someone.
Oh my gosh, I remember that because you reached out and you're like, we're moving to Montana. And I got so excited for you because it's something that you had like really pondered for a while, right?
Yes, Washington was home. Like that's born and raised, that's where I'm from. I thought that I could never live anywhere where I didn't have the ocean like 3 feet away from my house.
Sure.
And it was a struggle when we first got here. But yeah, my husband and I, we were boyfriend, girlfriend at the time dating, drove over here. It was like 16 plus hours to see my father-in-law. He wasn't doing well. He was in the hospital. And we drove over, I think it's 4 mountain passes that we had to go over. And when we hit the last ones, the Rockies, I know that it is scientifically not possible, but the sky is bigger here. I don't care what people say, it actually is. Yes, there are mountains and buildings, and we don't just all live in like little log cabins as much as we want to. But the sky, there's nothing to interrupt the view. I was just talking to someone yesterday about it that I live in town, quotation marks,
Mm-hmm.
but I can stand on my back steps and look up any night of the week and see the planets and the stars and the moon. Like, where else in the world can you do that? Yeah, yeah.
Seriously, so grateful for Montana. Like I actually don't gush about Montana very often here on this podcast, but I grew up here in Northwest Montana, and I'm so grateful for that. I actually lived in Washington before for a brief moment in a couple places, like when I was really little.
But
But
that's
like
hilarious.
from second grade on, I grew up in Northwest Montana, and I like growing up in the hometown kind of thing, it was not my vibe. I was like, I could not get out of here fast enough. I was so like, oh my gosh, it's like so lame. And it was very different then too. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't like a lot of opportunity necessarily, unless you were going to work in the service industry or like some sort of labor job. So there wasn't like after high school, there wasn't a lot of opportunity at that time. There was some tourism, that kind of thing, but there wasn't opportunity like there is now. And I'm just so grateful to call Montana home because it truly is a remarkable, unique, beautiful gem. And I'm so grateful.
Well, and where you live, especially like your area, that pocket, just so many. I have become a member of like all of the small business groups there in your area, which is a 6 hour drive from me. But it's because it's just every time I've gone over there, it's so welcoming. You can park your car and drive, and it's the little downtown. It's like you've stepped back a few decades, just comfortable. People say hello. So many handmade merchants, the
Mm-hmm.
jewelry, the clothing, the vintage, the repurposed. It's such a welcoming area and so just it's freaking magic the way all of the business owners support and encourage each other and it's just yeah. I can't imagine that area being different than it is now.
Sure. And I think that that's very true. And I think that Montana has this unique thing where for a long time, it was like a lot of like logging, and there's still a lot of logging here because the forest is very abundant. But I do think that there's more and more like small businesses supporting each other. And I do think that that's actually always kind of been there, is like small businesses have been around, because Montana, we're kind of isolated here and you have to fend for your fucking self. Like
Yes.
in the middle of the winter when there's like nothing coming, like in a blizzard, like you kind of like have to be prepared for yourself, right? And so I think that that creates that small business community where there are so many entrepreneurs, because if, like I was mentioning before, there wasn't like a lot of opportunity for jobs, so people fucking created them themselves and like figure it out themselves. Like most people I know either have several different jobs, or they have like side hustles, or they have several businesses, or like toes in all the things, like you, right?
Oh yeah.
We
No,
haven't
it,
even
it is.
gotten
It's
to.
so funny. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your magic and how your magic has blossomed since you moved to Montana. Because I think there were a lot of transitions, like all within a very short amount of time, right?
Oh my God. Like whiplash a little bit, but like good,
Yes.
good whiplash. I guess.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So I mean, I did the work. I did the corporate America thing that, you go to school, you get a high school diploma, you go get a job in an office and you kind of hate your life. And so I did that, did it for a long time, too long. And I had some things happen honestly, it was in 2020, end of yeah, like beginning of 2020. It was before the whole, world shutdown, everything dumpster fire. And I decided like I hated my life. And so I needed to figure out a way to be okay with the life I had, or I needed to change something. And
Yeah.
so I did. I left my job, like quit, cashed out my meager 401k, and I started a business copywriting because I was like, okay, I love to write, but I need to make money to pay my bills. Who has money to pay for writing? Business owners. Okay, so I need to write for business owners. And then I Googled what that means, and they're like, that's called copywriting. And I'm like, I'm a copywriter. Not even shitting you. Yeah. So started the business copywriting, but I knew I wanted to write books. I knew that that was like eventually. And pretty quickly, like about 6 months in, I had two clients, amazing clients, fall in my lap from the universe, and they asked me about ghostwriting books. I was like, I'm going to be honest, I never have. I know I can because I've written them myself before, so I know I can write a book. I've never done it for someone else, but I'm willing to try if you are. Like, let me give you a screaming deal and let's see what happens. And now my business is like fully ghostwriting and no copywriting. Yeah, it just, and then when I moved to Montana, something about having the space to breathe, something about having not just the space physically. I mean, we don't have a big property. We're on like a quarter of an acre. Like we're in town, but
Mm-hmm.
it was enough space, and just there's less people, there's less busyness. There's one stoplight in our town. Like we are a train town, so most people get here on the train. And I love that. I love it. But just having that space to get clear on what I needed, and fully embracing the woo, and realizing that the little voices I was hearing and the feelings in I call it my heart gut because it's kind of in between them. Like that wasn't just indigestion or gas. It was actually a thing. And I started following it. And now my business is not only ghostwriting, but I get to coach and help other people figure out how to tell their story as a book, as an essay, as poetry. And then I birthed my publishing company so that I can help them take it from a draft to being professionally published and available on bookshelves around the world. And I genuinely am living the fucking dream that like 3-year-old Megs had it, and that she felt crazy for having. It's like when you ask what's the magic, like everything is magic. It's all of it.
Oh my gosh, I love all of this so much. And I love how the journey was, it's kind of like the bouncing ball. Like it just like kind of almost sounds like it very naturally unfolded. But I love how you mentioned and really pointed out it's because you started listening to your heart gut right in your solar plexus, right?
Yes. Yes. It was. So one of my aunts, she's psychic. She talks to Elvis. Like she gets recipes from Elvis. It's a very interesting thing. If I had those abilities, I don't know that I would be talking to Elvis. That's me. I don't know that I'd be pulling out recipes. Also, that's me. But no, no, we listen and we don't judge, that whole thing. But so like I'd always known that there was that, when my nanny passed away when I was 12, I knew that it was happening. I knew when it happened. There was a light, a street light on the drive to her house that anytime we came near it with the car, it would go off and then back on. It was a thing. Like, so little things always happen. And I would tell my family about them, and they were always like, oh, yeah, that's must be an electrical short, or oh, there's just something funny, or Aunt Pauline's crazy. Like, these were the things. But I always felt like there was a little something to it, knowing the before the phone rings, you know who it's going to be, you know what's going to happen, you know how things are going to play out, and but never trusting it until I feel like once I was here and I had this space to just I think part of it is too, like you said, like I've never really thought about this before, but like you said, with being isolated and having to be very self-sufficient, and then also having businesses that are primarily in the online space. You don't just have coworkers that I can come and be like, "Hey, Kelsey, this is happening. What do you think?" You have to be very attuned to
Mhm.
yourself. And so I think all of that, it did help. And oh, 100%, that's when things have blown up.
And I love too that you do share like back when you were a kid and you knew the things and you had the gut, the intuition, like that knowing, because I had that same experience as a kid so frequently. I mean, I have some eerie fucking stories. Like, for example, the last time I was visiting my grandparents, I was visiting them in Florida and I was helping them pack, and they were going to move north back closer to family. And as I was pulling out, ooh, I have chills saying this, but as I was pulling out of the driveway, I was waving and I was like, oh, this is the last time I see my grandma. And I like had full body chills. I paused, I waved for a little bit
I've got
longer.
them.
Yeah, I waved for a little bit longer and then I drove away because I had a flight to catch home. And it wasn't 5 days later that she passed away. Um,
Wow.
so I think that when we recognize that these things, whether it's something crazy, like significant, like you said, you knew your nanny was passing away.
Yeah.
Like if it's something significant, whether it's something just like little, like, oh, I'm gonna go this way and I'm gonna get all of the green lights on the road here. Like these little tiny intuitive nudges, or like, maybe I'll go to this coffee shop today, and you run into somebody you haven't seen in years, and it's like this transformational experience for you. Like all of these little intuitive nudges that we were told for, there's like some logical explanation, like the electric short, right? Like when we start to like put those puzzle pieces, even from our childhood and from our past together, when we recognize when we knew something, when we had that intuitive nudge, it helps us like strengthen our intuitive nudge moving forward for our business, for our like creative expansion, right?
Yes. Yes. It's so true. Well, God, and that's empowering to hear that. Okay, you had them too. And
All the time.
oh, it's so interesting though, how like you think they say that kids are more attuned to things because it's before we've been tainted, before we've been told to shut it
Totally.
down. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like we are tuned to it, but it isn't until we're adults that we can come back to it now. It's very interesting.
It's super interesting, right? And so how do you, I'm curious, how do you weave your intuition, your gut heart knowing, like into your business, into the magic, into the creativity that you're like really doing? You said that you lean into it more. How are you actually, like, what does that look like for you? What is that experience for you?
So it's so much fun, but it also still freaks me out when it happens because I'm like, oh shit. Like, we're good? Okay. Like, I one of the big ones, well, okay, so I've been in so many coaching programs where they tell you you need to post this on Mondays, this on Tuesday, this on, as online coaches, we hear all sorts of different ways. For me, I did it. I did it. And it worked for shit because it was not because I was batching content. I was batching things and I was in the moment when I was writing them, but then I would post it and it was like crickets. And I knew I was posting, it's good shit, but it was crickets because I wasn't in the right. So instead, if I feel like I need to post something about X today, I just do it and I don't plan it. I just do. And that has been pivotal for my business in connecting with the right people in the right time because I'm not showing up on people's feeds every single day with like repetitive, just blah. It's I only post when it moves me, when it needs to, and for some reason those click. So that has been a big thing. The other one, when I'm working with clients, and I first discovered this when I was doing ghostwriting projects. So usually when I'm doing that, I will sit with someone much like this. I will ask them a question or two to kind of get the conversation going, and then I mute myself. And we will be on Zoom for 2, 3 hours at a time. Just, I want to let them go, let them have that space. And I realized that when I got off those calls, I would be transcribing and making notes about the conversation while we're on it. But then I would go back through and listen to the recordings, and they would say something about, that was when I knew that things were different in our household. And they didn't say how it was different, but I knew how it was different. And so when I was writing their story, I would be filling in the pieces, thinking partly that I'm going to send them this draft and they're going to say, "Where did you get this bullshit?" Like, I didn't say any of this about my dog Frank dying and that being like devastating. Like there was nothing. But I would send the draft and they would come back and be like, "Holy fuck, how did you know that? Like how did you know the feelings? How did you know that that was the biggest connection of my childhood?" Or they would have those aha moments where it tied into why they wanted to write the book today. And having those connections and realizing that I'm able to hear the things people are saying. Bless you. Sorry, my dog is sneezing.
Oh, no worries. I
Hopefully
get
that,
it. Dog life.
she likes to be right here.
Oh,
But being able to hear the things people were saying, but then also being able to hear all of the things that they weren't. And the things that a lot of times they may not have even recognized or reconciled themselves yet. And trusting that when I gave that back to them on the rough draft and crossed my fingers that they didn't think I was batshit crazy, which I still do. Every time I'm like, oh, fuck, I really hope they don't think I'm nuts, that I didn't get them confused with someone else or something. But every time trusting that it was something that they needed to hear or that it did fit there. That has been the biggest thing for me is
wow.
it's spooky. It's so cool realizing that like I know a part of someone's story without them telling me. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. So, oh my gosh, I really enjoy how you can you've been really leaning into it and like, they might think I'm fucking nuts, but this is like actually what feel from them because you're picking up like the energy, the feeling, the underneath the words of what they're saying, right? And like able to reflect that back to them because sometimes even in ourselves, like you said, it was almost surprising for some of them, even in ourselves, we're like too close to ourselves to see and recognize and have some of these awarenesses and to have somebody be able to reflect that back to you, like not only is it a powerful process that you are empowering them to put out into the world like their magic, their light, their book, their impact, but also like being able to learn so much more about themselves.
It's been amazing. I when I first started doing this, and not just with ghostwriting, but then also now with coaching people through developing a writing routine and a writing process and then writing their book and understanding that you don't have to be perfect. Like nobody's first draft is perfect. You need to shit and bleed on the page and then we'll clean it up. But like through that whole process, I didn't realize it was going to be as healing for them as it is. I've always known, I mean, I know you're a writer too. I I know. I've always known that like writing is healing. I've always known that when I journal, when I write things, it feels healing to me. But I didn't realize that I'd be helping other people do it too. And so that's been sometimes I feel selfish because of how much joy I get out of the process. I'm like, this is work. I shouldn't be enjoying this as much as I do. But it is. It's pretty transformative and healing to see how people change through the process.
Oh my gosh. I love this in so many layers because a you're like able to actually create this reflection for themselves, but also like the fact that you've actually had like you said, you had this shitstorm of like chaos of big changes of like going in for it, listening to your gut
Mhm.
heart, and you're like, well, I like jump. And then also recognizing just like that you are creating so much bigger, or like the impact that you're creating is so much bigger than what you even recognize that you could be doing. Like it's amazing how when you just listen to your intuition, baby step by baby step, like the impact, the abundance, the growth, the magic is expanded exponentially beyond what you could even like wildly possibly comprehend when you first take that leap, right? I also really enjoyed how you were talking about just listening to your intuition on something as simple as content for yourself, like
Yes.
allowing yourself to flow with the energy of the content. And oh, here we go, back to the energy, back to the energy of being able to like witness people in their energy. And when, how has that been like impacting the actual book that's created in the end product for your clients?
Oh my gosh. It so many times the book that we end up with, it it has pieces of what they initially wanted it to be, but it's usually it's so different because it's I've had a lot of clients that, especially right in the beginning when I first started doing ghostwriting, they wanted a book for their business. They wanted a book that was going to launch their brand and their business and get them speaking opportunities and big high ticket clients. And I'm like, okay, I've done copywriting, business writing. I can do that in a book. And I did, and we did, and it was great, but it was for their business. It wasn't healing, it wasn't transformative. And so when I started leaning into kind of listening to the things they weren't saying as much, and we started being able to weave those pieces in, the books became more about their personal story, their transformation, their struggles, their successes, and how that related to their business and how they can help other people with that. So then instead of being like business focused first, and then trying to weave in parts of their personal, I've been urging them really, people buy from people. We all hear that. And it's we should all have it tattooed on our foreheads. People buy from people. And so just even with a book, getting to know someone personally and their story and knowing where they've come from, what they've been through, and now where they are. It's the whole I'll have what she's having. Being able to show them that transformation. And so often we don't I feel blessed to be able to have conversations like this because so often in life we don't look back and reflect at the places we've been and what we've come through to where we are today. We just know that like, no, you are here, the red dot. So to be able to reflect back and then kind of giving them that gift, to be able to reflect back and look at where they've been, I feel like at the end of the day, the book may be different, but it comes out stronger and they come out stronger. And I mean, honestly, right now, like 90% of my clients are referrals from past clients. It just it, so that's why too when I'm posting social media content, I'm like, yeah, I'll post, but like if somebody contacts me about it, cool. But also like I'm knowing that the people I'm working with, they are enjoying it and they're getting more out of it than they wanted to when they thought, and it'll work out. I'm gonna have more clients come in that are meant to. And yeah, I don't know. It's magic. There's no other word.
How how fucking cool and rad is it that you get to like work in this realm of magic because you had the balls to listen to your intuition and follow that gut. So I'm curious, like when somebody came to you for the first time and was like, hey, can you do ghostwriting for me? Did you know what that was? Because before you, I had never heard the term ghostwriting.
So it's funny, I did know what it was, but only because when I had been Googling what does it mean to write for a business, ghostwriting came up as like one of the like fifth page options.
Okay.
And I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. Like that's not a word I hear. So we're not going to go with that one because no one will know what that is. Um, so I knew what it was, but was not very familiar. And so the first people that came to me about it, they actually just asked, like, hey, I want like you do copyright. Can you copyright a book? And I was like, actually, that's called ghostwriting. Like I was
Ah.
able to pull out my 5-point word that I learned. Like, but no, so many people, they have no clue what ghostwriting was, what it is. So
Mhm.
many people asked me, I don't get it as much anymore. I like to think I've had a hand in helping destigmatize what ghost, but so many people used to ask me, like, isn't that illegal? Because you're stealing someone. I'm like, no, no, no. Ghostwriting is not plagiarism. It's not. it's not I write a book and then you copy my paper. It's, you're hiring me as a professional to help tell your story. And yes, it's going to be you telling me pieces and then I'm massaging them into an actual book, but it's your story. So it's not illegal. It's completely okay. And actually, a lot of really famous do it. Really famous people do it. So it's like it's pretty okay. Um, but yeah, no, most people have no clue what ghostwriting is.
Well, and thank you for sharing a little bit about what it was because I got partway through and I was like, oh yeah, we didn't even talk about this. But and then that also helps people understand how that healing can come about because when you are learning people's stories, when you are talking and listening for hours on end and then being able to reflect back to them in the drafts that you give them, that also allows people to understand how that healing could come about, right?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh. And so I'm curious, what has been like one of the expansive parts of this ghostwriting adventure and journey that you didn't expect aside from the healing? Was there any other like things that you didn't expect with this ghostwriting journey?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I definitely didn't expect to have my own publishing company, and that would not have come without ghostwriting. That I also, I guess I didn't realize how many people would be interested in it. I didn't realize how many people, I guess when you go to the library or you go to a bookstore, I mean, I look at my bookshelves here and you see how many books are written by how many different people. You just think, I mean, I know that writing a book is not easy. It is a huge thing. But you just think, well, all of these people write a book, so why would people hire a ghostwriter? Or you know what I mean? I didn't realize I'd still be able to be doing it 5 years later. I kind of hoped I would, but I wasn't positive that it would be something I'd be able to do as a career long term. And so that has definitely been surprising.
That's kind of a fun, interesting surprise because I personally, I love that you called me a writer because I have never once called myself a writer.
Oh, you are a writer. I read your posts, I read your content. No, you are a total writer.
But I am also the person that would hire a ghostwriter because writing for me, I grew up, was told I had a learning disability with reading and writing. And so for a long time, I was in like all the special classes, all the things. So I just learned that I was bad at it, that I wouldn't like, I shouldn't do it. And then it made me hate it. And,
Yeah.
but I want to come back to how writing is healing because getting into the online world, similar time to you, I guess 2021 is when I really started in on the online world. It has been such a vulnerable, magical adventure.
Yeah.
Sharing transformational stories like as a real human being, because like you said, people buy from people, and really allowing the time and the thought and the energy to reflect on transformation because that's what we're writing oftentimes in the stories is the transformation and so many times we don't understand or like you said before take the time to actually do the reflection on how we have grown, how we have transformed, how this experience led to this experience. And oh, that one conversation, that one sentence, that one person said to me repositioned my life trajectory all of a sudden.
Yes.
I'm
I
curious, how many of those moments have you like chatted about with your clients? Have you had many of those like
Oh yeah.
this one thing? Yeah.
Oh God, yes. And it usually ends up coming out from the middle of nowhere, just from absolutely nowhere. We'll be talking about. So a lot of times the way I start the process is we'll get on a call, and I want to come back and talk about your childhood and the education because that is like
I
that's
would love to.
a big pit point for me. Big pit point. We're coming back to that.
Yes.
No, a lot of times it'll be coming out. I'll start the project and we'll talk about, okay, who do you want this book to be for? What message do you want to relay? What do you want people? Okay, I just finished reading your book. What do you want me to walk away with? And who do you want to be reading your book? Kind of getting those basics. Same thing we do when we start a business. Who are we talking to? But then I like to ask them, okay, where do you want this book, this story, not your story, but where do you want this part of your story to begin and where do you want it to end? And then we kind of break it down into the monumental experiences, lessons, situations, things along the way. And it's a lot of times in that process when they'll say, well, I only have three. Like I was born, I graduated high school, I got married, and then like I'm today. I'm like, okay, so let's talk, let's pick age 7. What happened when you were 7? It was this year. Go and find a family photo album and pull up a picture of when you were 7. Okay, what did this outfit like? What happened that year? Just kind of going through little things. And a lot of times it's when I'm digging into those just mundane places in their life when they realize, like, I mean, I had one client where she was like, "Oh God, well, when I was 11, that was the first time I saw my dad hit my mom." And I was like, "So that's a biggie. Like that's a big thing. Is that something we want to address in the book?" And like that ends up bringing her book completely changed. It was no longer
Wow.
about business. It was about how she is a powerful woman who now owns her own business, but it was more about the things that she had completely blocked from her childhood and her adolescence. And so it happens all of the time, but it's not when you expect it. It's not like, okay, I'm getting into this call with Kelsey and today I'm gonna blow her mind. I have the question and like I'm gonna set this up and she's gonna be like, oh my God, Megs, and then she's gonna cry and it's gonna be amazing. Like I have no fucking clue when it's gonna happen. It's when we are talking about the most mundane little things and then those huge pieces come out. And if I had $1 for every time a client cried on a call, like wouldn't need to work. We'd be good. We'd
Yeah.
be good. And at first I felt really, really bad about it. But then I realized that like it's a part of their healing and it's I pride myself on holding it's a very safe space. Everything that we ever talk about is fully confidential. I have NDAs and confidentiality agreements and from the first phone call because I want them to know that they are so safe and their story is safe. And I have had a couple of clients where 90% of what we discuss on our calls doesn't it didn't end up going in the book at all. It ended up just being a part of, when we decide to work together, we are going to meet every week for 2 hours, and then I will take what I can from those calls and we're going to work on a book. But sometimes those calls are just processing through other things that are a part of their life. And I've decided in my business that I'm okay with that, that's just a part of, maybe this week it wasn't anything about the book. I'm going to go back and work on a draft that we already had, but this was something they needed to go through. And yeah, it happens. It happens on the most unexpected days, unexpected calls.
Oh, and wow, what a beautiful aspect to the ghostwriting too, because if these people, for example, were to sit down and write their own book, they would not be asking themselves these same questions to uncover these layers that they've been, like you said, blocking out, ignoring, storing in their body, storing in their nervous system for oftentimes decades. And when they're able to recognize, I mean, I've got full body chills still, like this whole story that you've been
Yeah.
just sharing. When they're able to recognize where things started or what a significant moment was from their childhood, from their experience that shaped who they are today and how they're still acting today when they can, like you said, they were crying on every single call. Like that release is so healing. It's so powerful because oftentimes those emotions have literally been stored in their body
Yeah.
since they were 11 years old.
Oh yeah. It's Well, and that's another time where I feel at the beginning when I first started doing it, I then felt I don't even know what I felt. I felt wrong, or I felt like I was being a voyeur because I was encroaching in that experience they were having, that reflection, that
Mm.
reliving. Do you know what I mean? Just because I was there and I keep myself muted because again, like I just want to hear everything that they're saying. But there have been so many times where I have contemplated I mean, I'm thinking of two clients in particular where I contemplated turning my camera off because I didn't want them to see me crying so hard because of their story. But then I realized that by turning my camera off with these two clients specifically, by turning my camera off, I felt like they would think I was turning my back on them. And I
Yeah.
wanted them to know, like, no, I am here for this. I am feeling this with you. It's every client I get to work with and every book I get to help write, it is so healing for me too. Because when we see someone else being so vulnerable, it gives us permission and encourages us to then dig into those parts of ourselves. And I feel like I'm gonna cry right now. I'm not a crier. I promise. Like But it is, it's so in those moments of what we would call weakness, those vulnerabilities, it's when we find our real power and our passion and drive. And by hearing people share their stories that I may have nothing in common with, other than the fact that we're both human, we're both women, but there are things that will connect with me in a way that I then, after the call, my husband knows when I've had one of those calls or one of those clients, because he'll come home and I'm just on the couch. Like when I am emotionally depleted, which it happens a lot when I'm on these bigger projects,
Hmm.
I will be able to work with one client a day. So like Wednesdays are this client, Thursdays are he will come home from work and I'll be laying on the couch and my go-to is Bob's Burgers. I turn
Love
on the
Bob's.
cartoon Bob's Burgers because I'm like, it's hilarious. It's a little raunchy. It's snarky. Louise is my spirit animal, but I need I need the mental break that I don't need to think about anything real.
Hmm.
And so I'll be lying on the couch with the dogs, and if he comes in and Bob's Burgers is on, he's like, "Do you want me to do dinner?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm
Be
gonna need
great.
you to do dinner." It was a good day. It
Yeah.
was a hard day.
Because even when we're witnessing somebody in that, like, especially as a woman who gives a fuck, like a big fuck, like you care so much about the people that you're working with. This isn't just like for a paycheck. This is because you fucking love it. Like you said, like it's not
Yeah.
even like it doesn't even feel like you're working. Like you just love
No.
this. But the value, this service that you are providing for these people, not just in writing their book, but like in healing, witnessing their healing, allowing them to have their healing, like be reflected back to see their journey through the lens of somebody who's not quite so close to their journey. I mean, this is like profound. I'm loving learning more about what you're doing because I knew it was fucking powerful shit, but this is so absolutely incredible. Like truly, I just really love this so much.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you. It's just what I do every day. It's
Because you
oh,
have the guts to listen to your intuition, go all in on yourself, own your magic, own your badassery, put it out there for the world, and like take these big ass steps over and
yes.
over and over and over again to create what you've created, right? Like you
It's
say,
insane. We have to do that. We have to. I mean, I feel like I want to interview you about your businesses because you've got some. I mean, the Inspiration Cabin, anyone who hasn't been there, it's fucking beautiful and I will be coming back. Like it's gorgeous. The fact
we
that you guys
installed a
did
new art
that.
piece too. You'll have to come see it soon.
Oh, I watched you put it up online. I've been lusting after it with the plants.
So good.
I told my husband, I was like, that would go really good, like right over there. I was like, oh no, I love it. I love it. But I no, I feel like that's why I love that you have this podcast, that you're doing this, because I feel like so many more people, they have that little thought that they want to do something, but then they're like, it's, that's crazy. That's big. Who does? So when I was deciding that I was going to quit my job and everything, leave it all, like it seriously happened 2.5 months before the world caught fire. So in my mind, I was like, well, my boyfriend who's going to be moving in, we're like basically engaged, but I was like, he's got a job. So if I fail, like I got a paycheck over there. And he told me, he was like, honestly, if you fail, you're a smart lady. Like, just go get another fucking job. And I was like, it's that easy? What? What? And for some reason, hearing him say that, like, okay, so you start the business and it doesn't work. You used to write resumes professionally for people. Like, just write your fucking resume and go get another job. And I was like, oh God. Well, when you make it sound like that, like for some reason, I thought that if I started a business and I failed, like I was gonna die. Everyone would hate me, the world would end. Like it was this big thing. And to hear him just reflect about, no, it's nothing. It is seriously a drop in the bucket. Like it is nothing. And I was like, oh God, okay. So I finally got the balls to do it, did it, and then the world shut down. I was like, ah, ah. But it's so important that people just listen to the voice, that whatever lights them up, that fire, that passion. Yeah, it just can't go
Absolutely.
wrong. Can't go wrong.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I love how your partner just reflected that back to you. Like, what's the big fucking deal? Like, just do it. Like, what if it, so what if you fail? Like, worst case scenario, you have to go get a job, like exactly where you are right now. Like that realization to me when I had a coach reflect to me, like, so what? You fail. You're exactly where your already like worst fear is. So like just fucking go all in and do the damn thing.
Yes. It's so funny though that we monumentalize it like, no, everyone will hate me, like I'm gonna die, everyone will die, the earth's gonna be on fire, nothing will be okay. Like, no, like you already have a fucking job right now, just go get another one. It's
Oh my
okay.
God, I love it so much. And not that it's all rainbows and sunshine, right? Like owning your own business is also like the hardest fucking thing and the most beautiful opportunities for self-growth because like as a business owner, you are your business,
Oh my God.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like yes, it's challenging and it's so fucking worth it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
all of the challenges,
Yeah.
absolutely worth it. Oh
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh.
I love it.
So tell me about your publishing company. So not
Oh,
only are you a badass ghostwriter, badass copywriter, now mostly ghostwriting, but now you own a fucking publishing company.
so I realized, okay, so when I first started writing like my own books and then books for clients, after the booking process, I could help them self-publish on Amazon, which it's a great platform. It's amazing, but it is also limiting because it's one platform and then you are at the whim of Amazon. And yes, you still own your book, but you are giving a large part of it away. And it just didn't feel right. But I didn't know what other options there were. And so when I started ghostwriting more books, at the end of the process, I would tell them I can help you self-publish with Amazon. Or if you want to pursue other publishing options, there are tons out there, but I don't have a specific recommendation, which I hate not being able to like give my clients
Mm-hmm.
at least a direction of like, don't go there, maybe try there. And also, I realized I was handing them this beautiful finished manuscript that is their blood, sweat, and tears. It's their baby on their hard drive, and they would do nothing with it because they were so overwhelmed by the next steps. And I'm like, no, no, I understand this is no longer my problem or my situation or my responsibility, but I'm not okay with that
No,
because this is your story that you have just finished divulging to me over the last, 6, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years. And it's just sitting there. It's no, no. I found something very morally not okay with that. And so I had a crazy idea. Again, at this point, he was my husband. I told him, I was like, I hate this. I hate this. I think it's stupid and it's horrible. And it would be so much better if I could just have my own like hybrid publishing company. And he was like, well, then why don't you? And I was like, because I don't know how. And he was like, how did you figure out how to start a business? And I was like, I used YouTube. I went to the University of Google and YouTube, thank you, because this was before AI. So we had to ask, like, we had to do a little more research. I went to Udemy and I learned how to file for an LLC and how to get a business. Like, I don't, so I honestly, I took the weekend and I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos and I did a lot of Googling to find out, like, okay, what are the things you have to have? What do you have to have in place? What do you not want to do? Where are people fucking up royally? Like, what are the things that I hate about traditional publishing, about self-publishing? And so I kind of put together a spreadsheet about what my ideal situation would look like. Like, if I were coming in as an author, what would I want? I would want to retain all ownership of my book. I would want to be able to decide what the cover looks like. I would want to be able to decide what day the book is published. Like, maybe I want it published on my fucking birthday. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to say what I want in the book and not have to worry about a publisher changing things. And I want to know that if someday some big movie star picks it up and they decide they want to write it into a movie, that I have permission to like pull my book and go do that. But I also want to make royalties on it. Like these are all the things that were important to me.
mm-hmm.
And so I went and I created a hybrid publishing company that does all of that. And so the hardest part was figuring out the name because there are so many names used, but people actually don't have the business going. They're just reserved kind of in the ether. And so I couldn't think of anything. And then I woke up. So I did this all over the weekend. I woke up Monday morning at like 3 in the morning and I was like, oh, I know. I'm going to call it In Omnia Paratus Publishing, and it's Latin. It means prepared for all things. And I was like, you know what? I want it to be prepared for all things. I want it to be for any kind of author, any kind of book. And like we take care of shit for you. You're prepared. It also happened to be the first Latin phrase that my grandfather taught me, and he is my person. He is my person. And so it made sense. And I pulled out my cell phone. I did the whole like one eye look because it's dark and you're half awake. So I was like typing in to see and Googled it and nothing came up. And so I came out to the living room and pulled out the laptop and I purchased the business name and started the business, purchased the LLC. It was like by the time my husband got up at 7 in the morning to make coffee, like I was passed out on the couch because it was done. And so yeah, it's a blast. So now I can help my clients from their book is finished, helping them design the cover, doing the final proofreading and editing, doing the research that's needed to make sure their book is in the right categories and genres with the right keywords and that they're being represented by a professional publisher. So instead of saying independently or self-published, it shows a publisher backing you. Um, yeah,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
amazing. So right now
Oh,
I've published over, I believe it's 200 books now as of this last week. I just published another one this morning, actually. So like, yeah, we're like over 200 books. It's amazing. And they're available around the globe. Like I like to go online all the time, and if I'm just like bored between calls or something, or in the middle of the night if I can't sleep, I'll Google one of my authors or one of their books and then see where it shows up for sale. And like there are copies for sale in South Africa, there are copies for sale in Thailand and the Philippines, and like in Boston and Maryland, like all over the world. And it's amazing. It's just amazing to know that like their stories are then traveling to so many more people's hands and yeah, yeah,
oh my
so
gosh,
much
that's
fun.
incredible. Holy shit, Megs, congratulations. There's so much there. 200 books published
Mhm.
in your publishing company.
Oh yeah,
And oh my God, the name. Oh, I'm just
it's
like absolutely in love. And the connection with your grandfather, like that is so special. And being able to carry his energy, his light, his love, his excitement and creativity for life, like into what you were creating, that's going to touch so many thousands, tens of thousands of people. Like, oh my gosh, so fucking
so much
exciting.
fun.
Congratulations.
It's so much fun. I love it. I love it. It's and that's something I'd never dreamed of. I never was like, oh, I want a publishing like and now it's so much. My favorite thing each month is the last day of the month I get the report on all of the books that were sold. And so I get to send out royalty statements to it's one of the things where like I've been told time and time again, hire a virtual assistant and like let them do those little things. I'm like, no, that's my favorite thing to be able to create like the royalty statement for each author and then send them the money for, okay, this is the book sales. This is it. It makes me so happy because then it's a reminder to them like these 10 people around the world, they took it upon themselves to purchase your book and they are reading their book, your book. And it's big. It's one thing when your family picks up your book. Like your mom has to buy it, right? She might not read it, but she has to buy it.
Yeah.
My mom, she likes me to give her a copy. I'm like, you're not even going to pay for it. You're like, you're not even... One day, someday
Come
she will
on,
buy
mom.
one of my books. I'm like, give me the $5, okay? Come on. Like, but like knowing that strangers in the UK that I have no clue who they are, strangers in Denmark that they're buying my book, and I'm like, okay, cool, cool.
That is so incredible. And I I love a good tangible, like physical book. Like I'm not like a Kindle person. I don't have a Kindle. Like I really love a good book. Like I like to highlight and underline
Oh,
and all
yeah.
the things, like write notes and that kind of thing. And so like being able to have your book in like the literal physical
Mhm.
hands of people, like
Yeah.
your energy in the physical hands of people is so fucking cool.
For me, this sounds so silly, but okay, but I know you're going to get it because you are a physical book person. For me, the first time, so when I started the publishing company, I didn't tell anyone for a couple of weeks because I wanted to go through and the books that I had self-published for myself on Amazon, I wanted to pull them and then republish them
Mhm.
to make sure that I had all the kinks worked out. Because
Mhm.
I am like shit or get off the pot. If I have an idea, I just make shit happen. Like I don't dick around, but I'm not going to tell anyone else until I figured out that it works. Like
Fair.
I'm going to test shit first and then I'm like, okay, this works. Look, I did a thing. Um, But for me, it was when I got the first copy of my book in hand and it had the barcode on the back. And like if you scan that barcode in a store, it comes up and says, this book, author, Megs Thompson, published by In Omnia Pratis Publishing. Like, and I'm like, that for me, I was like, oh, I wanted to go buy one of the barcode scanners just so that I could do that. Like
Just to see
20
it.
bucks on Amazon probably so I could just get that high like anytime. That for me was the like the icing on the cake. The fucking barcode. That means it's
Oh
real.
my God. That's so incredible because it is those little things, right? It's those little moments in life. It's those little moments of delight. It's those little things that like actually are what the magic in life is, right?
Yes. Oh, 100%. That's the magic. That's those little, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't make. I request that any of my author clients when I publish their book, when they get that first copy in the mail, because I can't be there with them because I would be flying everywhere and flying out to Montana. That's the other problem with Montana. I love it, but flying anywhere from here is like, but I asked that they send me a little video. I'm like, I don't care if it's a snapshot, I don't care if it's a selfie, if you have like your phone propped up with your dog. I want to see your face. Like I want to see you when you open that box because it is just it's amazing. It's just so amazing to be able to hear the excitement and for someone else to see and feel that. I remember feeling that the first time I saw my name printed in a book and having something published. And I'm like, I think everyone should experience that. It's like going on a roller coaster plus eating your favorite ice cream plus like being just absolutely loved by someone and the best puppy cuddles, like all
Oh,
all at once and you're holding it in your hands. Like, and you did this. It's you made that.
because oh my gosh. Oh,
I want everyone to feel that.
I can feel it just like how you're describing it. Like I'm like visualizing all these things, and I'm like, oh, I've never visualized my name on a book before, but all of a sudden I found myself in your vision of
What's
describing
happening?
that. Yeah, like exactly. Like what the fuck is happening here right now? It's not what I've ever thought I'd do.
Okay, so let me circle back to that because that is a big point for me. So many people that I talk to, so many of my clients, the first things they tell me, like when we're in the process, is that they were told growing up that, like, oh, you're not a good reader, you're not a good writer. They were diagnosed with dyslexia or reading disabilities or learning disabilities, or they were told you have bad vision and so you're not going to be a good reader. Like all of these fucking labels and things that, yes, there are children and people, there are adults who are not as speedy at reading as others or who are more left-brained and they are really good with the sciences and the math and the reading and the writing isn't their forte or their strength. But the fact that we tell children that, like, oh, like, discount that, you're never going to do that, that absolutely, it chaps my ass so much. And it's still happening. I mean, with my youngest nephew, he was labeled that way for so long. And it made me so mad because it then in turn is telling you to discount your story and your voice. It's telling you that by not being able to read and write well, your voice and your story don't matter. You don't deserve to be heard. And I think that that is just absolutely such bullshit. It's such a huge problem. And so I love that you challenged yourself and you got vulnerable because starting a business in the online space, you fucking have to read and write. Like you have no other when we started, Reels wasn't a thing yet. TikTok wasn't a thing. Like it was Facebook and Instagram, but you're
Mhm.
writing things. And so for you to still step into that space and challenge yourself, I think that that is something you need to celebrate and be so fucking proud of, Kelsey. And to be where you are now with how many business you two business? No, three, because you have the yeah, because you have the inspiration cabin, which I'm just gonna keep like shouting out. You guys, you have three businesses. I know that Nate does some, but like you do the majority of the social media, I believe, like the writing for things. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Not only the creations you guys are making, the places and the creations, but the way that you describe it and you invite other people into that. Like it is magic. And I think it's such a big thing you need to be so proud of that you did that despite being told if I could go back and slap every teacher and parent, that's my biggest, it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad.
Well, I really appreciate that reflection, Megs. And it's certainly for myself been a journey of like getting better and practicing
Yeah.
and crying a lot and like being frustrated and screaming a little bit at my
Mhm.
computer here and there.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
and at the same time, maybe like I suppose maybe I did need help. Like I think about it and I'm like, well, my folks were just like trying the best they could. This is what the teachers told them, and
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so I did get extra help, which maybe I did need, but then it left me feeling other, not good enough,
Yes.
not smart enough. Like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this and this, and I just like automatically discounted things or like said I wouldn't do these things because of
Yeah.
this. And I agree. I think that we can do so much better for people who don't fit into this super narrow mold of like learning in classrooms. I think we can do a lot better. And yeah. And I also appreciate almost, or now I have a new awareness, a new appreciation for my experience in school because I fucking hated school so much. And because of that, I ended up taking classes that were like off the beaten path in school. Like I got into outdoor education and leadership literally through adventures in personal development. And I got into welding in high school and I got into all of these things like CAD and architectural design, all of these things that were kind of like the fringe classes that like nobody really like actually took if they were kind of serious about school. But like I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, I'm gonna finish high school. Like I was like, I know I can drop out and like just maybe get a GED or something, but like I want to finish high school. And so I took all these random ass classes just so that I could finish high school. And here I am years later, and I have integrated all of these random ass classes into
Look
what I,
at you now.
yeah,
CAD, welding. Are you freaking outdoor adventuring? Like, are you kidding me?
yes, exactly. Like personal development. Literally,
Yes.
I was a student aide for out or adventures in personal development all through high school, working on the high ropes course, working in different like personal development expansion in high school, along with the welding and the CAD and the architectural design, which is all I do in like our fabrication and art metal artwork business. And then yeah, so it's so interesting how even though for most of my life I felt not good enough, like I wasn't smart enough, like I'd never actually accomplished anything, it's funny how years later, this was just a realization I had in the last couple of years, but years later, I can have this realization of what a gift it was that I didn't fit the traditional mold because had I fit that traditional like student mold, I probably would have ended up in corporate America. I've never
Yeah.
worked a fucking 9 to 5. Literally, the closest thing
God
I got
bless
to
you.
the closest thing I got to a 9 to 5 in an office was literally working the front desk at a rafting company here in West Glacier. Aside
I
from
love
that, I've worked random ass guiding jobs, barista jobs, side hustle, coaching, all sorts of random things. I've never, but had I fit the traditional school mode, I'm sure I would have ended up in that hellhole of 9 to 5.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. I love and I agree. I think our parents do the best they know how.
Yeah,
But I agree with you. I think there has to be a better way.
yeah,
Like
I
you said,
agree.
like why aren't we urging and recommending kids like, okay, so reading isn't your forte. You still need to learn how to read. Like let's
Yeah.
find a way to make it not terrible, horrible, painful. But then also like what are you interested in? That's what with my youngest nephew now, he is shit. I think he just turned 16 and he's
Mm-hmm.
in an alternative high school and he just started there this year.
Oh,
And he was labeled as the kid who couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't sit still, can't do math, couldn't focus. They put him like 3 grade levels behind where he was. And the thing is, when you sit down and talk with him, he's not having issues. He's completely fine. He can communicate with others. And I'm not just saying that because he's my nephew and I love him.
mm-hmm.
Like he legitimately, he can associate with others. He's got the people skills. He can read. He just didn't want to read what they're reading. And no, he can't sit still. It's because he has so much fucking energy in his body. He needs to be like I joked, if they put him on a treadmill with a book, he'd be fine. He would be
Mm-hmm.
totally fine. He just has to be. And so
Moving.
now with the alternative school, he's learning his math and science through auto like mechanic school. And I'm like, are you? And he's always been fascinated with cars and trucks. And so now he was able to go and he bought this total junker, like with the help of different family members pitching in. But he also got a little bit of money from the school because it's his school project. And so he's helping like rebuild parts of the engine with the instructor's assistants and getting the education, but also real life skills. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's just we need to be so much better about finding things to, okay, so that may not be your strong point, but what do you enjoy doing and how can we loop that in? And oh, I
Totally.
love that the classes that you ended up taking, like how much more aligned. That's magic. Like that's insanity.
True magic. I mean, literally, it started with me wanting to overcome my fear of heights because there was a ropes course, a high ropes course at my high school, and there was one single class that was one class period throughout the day, once a semester. So it was like a group of 20 students each semester at our like 800 student person high school, and I'm happening to manage to get into it my first semester of my freshman year in high school, and um because I wanted to overcome my fear of heights. I had no idea what this class was, aside from that they used the high ropes course.
Oh
And
my God.
partway through that semester, the instructor, who was the guidance counselor, actually, and this was the only class he taught, he like asked me to his office, and I thought I was in trouble. Like I straight up thought I was in trouble because like that's all I knew was like, oh, you're not good
Yeah.
enough. Every time I went to somebody like one of my teacher's office, it's oh, you're behind, yada yada yada. And so I went in and I was so nervous. I was so anxious. And he's like this older gentleman, like super hard of hearing, about to retire kind of thing, just like super laid back, chill, like mountain man. And he's like, so like you're like, I notice you're a real great leader in the classroom. Like, would you like to be a student aide for the rest of your high school career? And I like started like crying and was like,
Yes.
wait, like for real? Like this can be possible? Like yeah, like there was no hesitation. It was just like, well, yeah, like I can play on the ropes course for the rest of high school. Yes, please. So I'm so grateful for
God,
that
that's
opportunity
amazing.
because I know that it's a very unique opportunity. I don't even know if they use the ropes course anymore here because, he retired and then other teachers didn't really take it on. But I think that
Yeah.
like tools like AutoCAD, like ropes courses, like things that are outside of the classroom that we can actually apply knowledge in. Like you said how your nephew didn't like
Yeah.
apply math well in the traditional textbook context,
Yeah.
but as soon as he's like applying it into
Yeah.
something he's physically doing, no problem at all. Like
Crazy. Oh my God,
yeah,
I love that so much. That's amazing.
oh,
And that's
it's
magic. Like, what are the chances that as a freshman, your first, like, no,
yeah, no,
it's meant to
absolutely.
be.
It is. And isn't it beautiful how even the hard things in life, like the things like that we think are the worst things ever, like for example, like I thought my learning disability I mean, most of my fucking life, literally until the last couple of years, I thought it was the worst thing. Um, and then I had this realization of how it was actually a gift that sent me on this other path that I
God,
am so
yes.
grateful to have been or like to be on, right? And just like how your corporate job sucking the life out of you was almost a gift to give it the middle fucking finger and like
Yeah.
light your ass on fire for what you've created today.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. We sometimes we need the universe to push us to a point
Mm-hmm.
to get us to the point to make that decision or to listen to our heart gut and be like, okay, no, this is oh my God, I love that so much.
Oh, seriously,
Good.
so much. Oh my gosh. Well, Megs, I want to be mindful of your time. I am so appreciative of you for coming on and sharing so openly, sharing all of your magic, sharing your inspiration. And if this hasn't like lit your ass listening to Megs about like sharing your story, unveiling your story, just writing it for your fucking self, even if you don't share it with anybody, like take the time to develop a journaling practice. This is something that I've done over the last, I don't know, 7 or so years. And it was something that I hated initially, but like I just did it because I had a little homework in yoga teacher training or this or that because I hated writing, right? Like
Yes.
that was the story I told myself for so long. But then the more I did it, the more I loved it. And the more I didn't even think about it as writing, or the more I just like felt like it was that healing process, like you were
Yes.
talking about. And yeah, so if this has not inspired you to start writing your story, like get a hold of Megs, like
Yes.
help her, like contact her so that she can help you write your story because this shit is fucking powerful. It's not just for
Mm.
your business, it's for you too. It's for the expansion in your light, in your world, being able to birth your story because you are the book doula, right?
It's so
Or
true. It's so true. Yeah, and just yeah, do it. Just start a few minutes a day, exactly like you said. That's
yes.
all it takes.
Oh, so good.
Oh
Well,
my
Megs,
God.
is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap this up?
Oh my gosh. I don't think so. I mean, we could just chat for like 7 more hours.
Totally.
So I think no, I think this was amazing. It's oh, one thing. If you find yourself not being able to sit and write for 10, 15 minutes a day. A lot of my clients, I tell them to start, they're like dip the toe in the water, their gateway drug, grab their phone and turn on your notes app and just record yourself talking and
Oh,
say it out loud. That way, have the conversation. You'll feel a little crazy for the first few days. Like you will feel bad shit crazy. I still do it when I'm in the car, but allow yourself to just like go through ideas and thoughts and decompress that way. A lot of times that takes away that fear of, am I writing perfect? Am I doing this? But yeah, something. Just start telling your story. It's so important because your story does matter. It matters.
oh my gosh, so much. And that is such great advice. I personally love the app Otter. um,
Huge fan.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's how honestly how I do most of my writing is I whip out my Otter app, which is like a transcript app if you don't
Yeah.
know, like Otter, like the animal otter. And it like you can hear your voice, you can have the transcript, but like being able to get it out
Yeah.
sometimes, because I know for me that was like the problem, like because I was like, oh, I'm spelling this wrong, or like like I'm
Yes.
getting in my head about the notes that I'm writing. So when I can speak it, it just I can get in that flow. And like you said, it's that practice of sharing your story and like getting better and better.
100%. I love Otter. Oh,
Oh my God,
that's
so good. It's my
yay.
favorite.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Well,
Kelsey, thank you so much for having me. I seriously, this has been the absolute highlight of my week. This has been so much fun. I adore you. I can't wait to see you again. And yeah, this is so much fun. I love it.
so much fun. Thank you so much, Megs, for coming. And all of the contact and information and links like that will be in the show notes. Megs, do you want to like tell anybody your handle right now
Oh, that's true.
or
I
how to
guess I
get a
can do
hold of
that.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, so my website, it's really easy. It's Megs Writes, like writes, WRITES.com. And
Perfect.
honestly, that is where you can find me on everything. Instagram, Facebook. I'm not on TikTok because fun note, Montana was the first state to actually like ban TikTok. So not on the TikTok. But yeah, everywhere else, just under Megs Writes or Megs Thompson. And yeah, or you can find me through Kelsey.
Yes, yes. If you can't find the links, they should be right below here. But if you for some reason can't find the links, please reach out to me and I would love to connect you with this beautiful badass. Thank you
I
so
love it.
much, Megs. I appreciate you. And thank you everyone so much for listening to the Magic is in You podcast. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day in love, light, and so much gratitude. Peace.